Hey everyone, and welcome to the Intellection Surge. So far we've talked about Spinoza's metaphysics, God or nature, causality, all that is Spinoza's big theory of everything. But with this video we'll finally get personal. We'll start speaking about Spinoza's view of the human condition. But before getting to this, I'd like to come back on something I've said in the last episode. You see, Spinoza is known as the philosopher of joy, yet his metaphysics is pretty depressing. No God to take care of us, everything is determined, there is no free will. But let me start this video by telling you why living in causality is actually a great thing. You think living in a world of causality is depressing? Well, think again. If an omnipotent being was changing the rules as he wants, we wouldn't be able to understand what's going on. If one day water boils at 100 degrees Celsius but 90 the next day, we wouldn't be able to make any sense of it. We wouldn't be able to get a clear knowledge of how nature works. So the fact that everything is cause and effect allows us to get a clear knowledge from the laws of nature. And knowledge is what allows us to make the most out of the causality in which we live in. It's because humanity was able to understand the laws of aerodynamics that the Wright brothers were able to fly for the first time in 1903. And it is thanks to Isaac Newton's laws of gravitation that we were able to land on the moon only 66 years later. Living in a world made of causality is a very good news. Nature might not answer to our prayers and desires, but it is indeed a book that we can understand. And we are no exception here. We are also nature, and we follow rules and determination that we can understand. And this is exactly the journey Spinoza wants us to take. He wants us to get a clear knowledge of the causes that affects us. What makes us act in this or that way? Because getting a clear knowledge of our determinations actually determines us to a better life. And the very first determination we need to understand is the Conatus. The Conatus is a striving to persevere in one's existence. In simpler words, it is a strong desire to live, an inclination to survive, our instinct of survival, if you want. This is the most important of our determinations. We are fundamentally determined to do our best to survive. And our ability to fulfill this striving to persevere in our existence is called the Potentia. In other words, the power of existing. The higher our power of existing is, the better we can fulfill our inclination to persevere in existence. The more we are capable to try our best to exist. And the word try is very important here. The Potentia isn't our capacity to actually exist, but our capacity to try to exist. It's really a potential. And you can feel extremely well, happy and full of energy one day, but still die because a bus eats you. Again, the Potentia is just potential. And actually the Conatus doesn't only apply to us or living creatures. It also applies to things. A rock is a rock because the Conatus holds the particles together. And it is the same thing for us. At the particle level, the Conatus is what allows our compositions to be held together. When all our compositions, or one of our vital compositions, are disrupted, we die. It's the end of our power of existing. So the Conatus is our number one determination. But how does this impact our daily life? Well, the expression of the Conatus in our daily life is desire. In Spinoza's philosophy, desire is not the result of something missing, like in the classical philosophy, but the expression of our striving to persevere in our existence. We desire because we exist. To desire is to live. But we don't desire an object because we think it is good for us. We think the object we desire is good for us because we actually desire it in the first place. The object didn't really trigger the desire. Desire always comes from us. And in the end, whatever it is that we desire, we don't really desire that thing. What we desire is the happiness we think that object will bring us. What we really want is to actually increase our potential thanks to this object. So in the end, what we really desire is an improved version of ourselves. And remember, Spinoza's philosophy is very materialistic. Everything is about matter and particles coming together or not. Desiring is actually wanting an object to combine with us. The same way particles enter in combination, desiring is wanting that person or this thing to enter in a composition with us to improve our power of existing. So then you might think that everything is easy peasy, right? So you just need to follow your desire and everything will be alright. Well, not exactly. Remember, we judge some things to be good for us because we desire them in the first place. This means that we can be mistaken, right? And we can desire something that is bad for us in the end. And this is why some people end up desiring their first cigarette despite smoking being bad for them. But this is a subject for another time. As usual, let's do a quick recap of what we've learned today. We've learned that living in determinism isn't that bad after all. Everything being cause and effect allows us to get a clear knowledge of how everything works and use that knowledge at our advantage. We've seen that we can also understand how we work as human beings, and the Conatus is one of the very first determination we need to understand. It is striving to persevere in our existence. We also saw that our ability to fulfill this Conatus is the Potentia, or the power of existing. The higher it is, the more we are capable of maintaining our existence. We also saw that the expression of the Conatus is desire. Desiring is living in Spinoza's philosophy. And finally, we don't actually desire something, but more the increase of our power of existing that might result from the combination of that object and us. So in the very end, what we will desire is an improved version of ourselves. As usual, thank you guys for watching this video. Feel free to let me know if you have any questions in the comments. See you next time, and bye bye.